Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the Mancunian way, where tonight we are back talking all about the UEFA Champions League's last 16 tie. And I've brought our very special Champions League panel out for this evening. We've got, Vader all the way from Canada. How you been doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to hear what Ozzy, Patrick, and you guys have to say about this.
We've got Mr. Champions League himself. There he is, bottom right, Ozzy.
Evening.
Singing the Champions League anthem.
That comes later.
Good point. And Patrick is back with us from Australia, from the Early Bird podcast. How are you doing? Good morning to you, buddy.
Good morning, or good evening to you too, mate. Just for anybody out there, Rich didn't find a fountain of youth up on the North Shore of Sydney and jump into it. This is actually somebody else from Sydney that's actually jumped on Martin's show today.
So I was going to say, I did think Rich got quite a few 20 years bit younger there. Did you think?
Yeah, exactly.
Suddenly a bit more hair and a bit more youthful and
none the wiser.
We do. Rich is currently got a mass amount of work on at the moment, so that's why Rich has not been around for the last week or so. He's been away with family and he's also swamped with work, so that's why he's not been around. So don't worry, Rich will be back. You'll get your Rich rants at some point. I promise you all. But we're here to talk all about Martin Horsfield's favourite competition in the world, UEFA Champions League. Last 16 draw has been done, and Manchester City have been drawn against RB Leipzig. Yes, our old sparring buddies from just 12 months ago are back in the mix again. We'll go around. We'll start with our guests first. Patrick, RB Leipzig. Is it the kind of draw you wanted? Are you happy with it? We will go through the full draw later on, but are you happy with Leipzig out of everyone?
Am I happy with drawing RB Leipzig? I'm okay with it. Would I have preferred other teams? Yeah, sure. And the reason I say that is because, this is an RB Leipzig team that certainly looks on paper, they look dangerous. At times in the Champions League, they've looked dangerous too. If anybody was watching their match a couple of weeks ago against Real Madrid, they were absolutely blistering on the break. Timo Werner's found the form that he had when he was at Leipzig. Certainly not seeing the Chelsea Timo Werner there at the moment. Of course, they got Chris Nkunku as well, who's just been blazing it up in the Bundesliga for the last 18 months and still performing well on the European stage. I'm sure we'll get into more detail about the depth and strength of their lineup, but there's a lot of things I want to talk about with this team because they do a lot of things that can hurt you. I'm excited for it anyway. I think if we do things the right way, we could certainly, not comfortably, but I certainly can see us getting through to the quarterfinals. But again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I know, the three of you definitely want to talk about this in depth and in detail as well. But look, I'm confident, but me personally, I would have liked to have faced maybe a slightly less tricky opposition.
Vader?
This draw, I mean, because of the whole time zone, and I shouldn't even be talking time zone because Patrick, I know what you got to deal with, but I woke up to the news. Didn't see the draw in person or anything like that, but I'm of the feeling that being matched up against RB is a good thing because any matchup is going to be a battle, whether it's happening in 16, at 8, down to 4. We know that it's going to be a battle through this competition, and going so far as to look ahead with regards to the fixtures, who we might be facing at the time of this 16. I like having this battle. I like I like the fact that some of the fixtures, some of the teams will be facing, mind you, I learned that there are a lot of their away matches, but it's not some of the powerhouses that we would typically face in the EPL. So I'm cool with it. RB Leipzig, they're dangerous. How they play, very attacking, and I want that. I'd prefer that for us to be again battle tested than a team that's going to sit back, 2 blocks of 5, do their best just to not concede anything and maybe not even attack us and play for the worst, not play for the best, but just play to draw the game out. I like this matchup, and I'm excited to see how Pep deals with it because again, I think it's a good test for the players that we have to be ready for the next round. And I know I should be saying focusing on the next round, but I think it's a good battle.
Yeah. And what we'll do in a minute, I'm just going to bring Ozzy in a sec, but what we'll do is we'll also go through the dates and the fixtures that are actually sandwiched between these lovely two ties coming up in the Champions League. Ozzy, we had a choice of quite a few. PSG could have been one.
Yep.
You know, we avoided that. We could have got probably the Milan clubs were probably a bit tricky. We could have all got. Are you happy with RB Leipzig when you saw that come out the hat this morning?
Yeah, I think as a challenge in the last 16, they're definitely going to give us one of those. They're definitely one of those bogey teams, that I'd say that could cause us a few issues.
No,
Don't give me that. No, I think
I was responding to Super Cities like Liverpool are up for sale. No, they're not. Go on.
So they are definitely one of those teams that I think could cause us some issues, especially over 2 legs. They've got some top talent, and they've shown that on previous games that we've had with them. And I just feel they are a team you have to respect. The only thing that I think would concern me slightly is Pep overthinking it. Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen him do before. That is probably my biggest worry.
Everyone keeps saying this.
Because it's true.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
It happens at least once a season, Martin.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah. And this is definitely one of those games where he could really overthink, and he's been doing this. We were talking about it last night, weren't we? And saying, he's been tinkering a lot lately. He's been trying new formations, and it's just like, is he going to continue to do this, or is he just going to put up the strongest 11 and just go off and try and win these 2 games? For me, Leipzig is a team that we should be beating, but like I said, you have to respect them. They've got some very good talent in their team, and Cuckoo, apart from him, they have got other good talent as well. So it's going to be interesting. But again, like I said, team we have to respect, but a team we definitely should be beating.
Yeah, and I mean, I had a quick look earlier on. Leipzig are actually, they're not doing tremendous in the Bundesliga, but the one thing they have done, I've had a look at all their results so far. They're scoring goals for fun. Yeah. You look at some of their results, they're banging in 3 and 4 on the regular at the minute. I think they've scored just over 50 goals so far in all competitions, which is no mean feat. So they have got one hell of an attacking threat to give us. And we all remember the game last year, especially at the Etihad. It was just you score, we score, you score, we score.
Yeah.
And for me, that scares me a little bit. It does, because I don't want to end up in a rat race, over a 2-game period to play that, especially with the way some of our defenders can be at times. I just don't want to get into this outscore your opposition. I think it'll be the most entertaining game going. For the neutral, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think for the actual fans, it might be a bit of squeaky bum time, in certain parts of the tie. The good thing is, sorry, go on, Oz.
I was just going to say, I mean, you have been complaining over the last, couple of times we've talked about Champions League, saying it's really boring. I mean, we're going up against opposition that we just walk all over. Now it's getting to the point where you're starting to get actual teams where you still need to start thinking, okay, how are we going to beat them? Do you know what I mean? This is the time where the Champions League starts to get a little bit more interesting. And I'm just looking forward to it, really. This is a team that we should be looking forward to playing. That Pep should be kind of thinking about his wits and thinking, okay, how am I going to go out and beat this team?
I like the fact that they are attacking, because it actually, if they were a sit back type team, I think that's where Pep could definitely overthink it. I think it's the teams that are like going to make it difficult to try to break down. That's where Pep tries to be super creative and bring extra bodies to cause problems with regards to attack. But I think what Ozzy mentioned, we have to respect them because they are a scoring threat. Martin, you mentioned how many times they've been scoring. So I think Pep's going to have to be honest here in terms of being balanced. I'm not going to overcommit in attack because they are threatening, and have a balanced type approach. I'm excited for it. I know it's not a game where it's going to be like boring. It's us dominating the ball or dominating possession with very little attack. I think it is going to be a game where we're going to have to be all ready for when we do lose possession and them being strong in attack and score. So I'm excited for this. I know it could have gone another way. I will admit, I'm glad it's not PSG of anyone else, but this is nice.
Pat, does it help that we've played these recently? Does it help that we've had them in, obviously, like, twice last year? Does that give us any sort of advantage in this?
A bit. I think it helps a bit. The fact that they've retained majority of their squad from last season, and the fact that most of their providers for goals and assists are still there, and they're still putting in goals as well too. I mean, Nkunku is probably not putting up the same sort of numbers as he did last season, but he's still scoring and still assisting. And now that he's got Timo Werner back playing there, and Timo Werner's finding that form, as I mentioned before, like he did prior to heading to Chelsea, there will be a sort of similarity. There will be a familiarness with how they play, the way that they'll play. So certainly we'll take that into account. But again, Leipzig, we just have to be a bit more cautious. I think we have to be a lot more defensively disciplined than what we've done this season. They are very, very. We are still susceptible to the counterattack, which means that if we're going to be playing anything like that when we do play them, especially away, then it could be quite difficult when the second leg returns back to the Etihad. It's not necessarily just Nkunku and Werner that do concern me, because I think the last time we played them, albeit being a dead rubber, I think the best player on the pitch that day was with their midfield, the Polish guy. I'm going to have a go at his name. It's Dominik Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai, I think it was. He played a very, very good game for them. It was just fantastic. I wouldn't say he controlled the midfield, but he certainly gave us a lot of headaches. So he's one I'm particularly concerned about as well. They also signed David Raum, the left back, who we were actually interested in back in the summer. Now, defensively, he doesn't concern me, but this is a left back who put in over a dozen assists for the Bundesliga for Hoffenheim last season.
Has Angelino left?
That's deadly going forward, and that's the sort of. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. Has he left then, Angel? I don't know. Has Angelino left them when they got Raum?
I'm not sure. I just haven't heard anything from him. So
he's not in currently. Well, I'm not sure what's happened, but I know he's currently not in the first team for them. Right, so
okay.
I'm not sure what's
that's part of the reason why Raum was brought in. He was almost like an Angelino replacement. I thought it was just for depth.
Yeah, because I thought Angelino did a very good job for them, especially in an attacking sense.
I think he did last season, yeah. So
they're all saying he's gone to Hoffenheim. There you go. Something I didn't know at all. That.
No, I wasn't aware of that either. So it's
obviously
it's
kind of like for like, because Angelino, as we know, we've seen it firsthand, was he's crossing like his aerial, like he's crossing for like more aerial, attack on goal was brilliant. Raum does do like good crosses in that too, but he's a bit more Kolarov-esque, like hard and low passes, squaring hard and low passes for like your Timo Werners and your Andre Silvas to latch onto centrally. So again, he's a sort of player you would dread coming forward on a counter attack, but he's someone you could just feast on the right hand, coming down our right hand side when we've got the ball and we're attacking, because defensively he's not that solid.
Yeah, I mean, Nick said we're worried now would have got PSG. To be totally honest, I'd have probably preferred PSG actually.
Well, I would prefer PSG because we know there's a basic
for this round, for this round.
Yeah,
I would think I'm mad.
No, I agree with you, Martin.
You kind of know what you're getting for PSG, and I think if we went toe to toe with them, I think we'd destroy them. I think,
and we have.
When you get a Leipzig, it sounds really daft, but there's that air of about it, if you know what I mean. It sounds really daft to say, I know, and probably,
What about
you're sitting there thinking we're off our minds at the moment, but I just
I see the point.
No, because I think the thing with PSG is we've played them previously at times before, and like you said, Martin, we have pretty much wiped the floor with them, and their mentality just completely drops off.
Yep.
They're not a team. They're a team of individuals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they just go to pieces with each other. Do you know what I mean? We saw it when we played them last time. They completely, broke ranks. They completely just kind of turning on each other. They're not a team. They are a team of individuals. And even though I think they have been doing better as a team this season, I still think if City were to kind of put a couple of goals past them and it's not going their way, they'll reform to old stereotypes for me.
When I look at PSG when they play big teams, especially when they play big teams in the Champions League, in a way, especially over 2 legs when we get to knockout stages, they kind of remind me of Chelsea the first season Abramovich came in. Individual pieces of brilliance, but a team of individuals. And that's the thing. You will see pieces of brilliance from time to time, and especially in the French League, you'll see it at least once every week. But in the Champions League, it'll only get you so far. And once you get a solid team in there, then they'll just absolutely just tear them to pieces, or they just wait for them to self-implode. We've seen that. There's evidence. When we play PSG, when it truly mattered, take last season out of the equation. We just patiently waited. We waited for our opportunities. We took it. Their egos got the better of them. They had a red card in each leg of the semi-finals.
Yeah, and if you look at the away tie in the group, that I know we got beat 2-0, we were by far the better team, and we should have put them out of sight. We just had one of them nights where nothing went in the bloody net, if you remember, and Messi did nothing all game but scored. And I know that's his job, and I know people will say, Haaland does that, and it's great. Speaking of the big man, he does like RB Leipzig. He likes to sort of gobble them up a little bit. So,
well, he's going to know them very well, isn't he, to be fair?
Yeah. People are saying in the comments, we've now got Haaland and Alvarez. We've got that firepower, which we didn't have last season.
Yeah.
And we scored 6 past them last season with a false 9.
We're way more clinical. Way more.
It'd be good to know what Haaland's record is against Leipzig. Whether he feasts or whether he famines.
Oh, I did have it up, but I'll try and get it up. But he absolutely.
I think he eats at every table.
Yeah. He loves a Leipzig game.
Just quickly, while you're looking at that stat, mine, just back on PSG for a second. The problem with PSG is the league they play in. They have not got enough challenges, and that's the issue that PSG will keep on having time and time again. It's because when, like you said, Pat, when they come up against challenging opposition, they're going to fold every time. Okay, they may get the odd win here and there like they did against Barcelona, but Barcelona were a team that was starting to fall apart for me back when they played them last. You look where they are right now, playing United in the Europa League. So that's, So so they are, the challenge that they are is always going to falter.
Yeah, here's the proof too. Look at PSG in this group stage too. They were absolute that they had a group that they should have absolutely dominated, and they did in a way. Juventus are a shell of themselves. Maccabi Haifa are just there to fill up the group, with all due respect to Haifa, albeit they did perform relatively well when they played at home. But the fact of the matter is that PSG could only barely scrape 1-1 matches away and at home to Benfica. Now, Benfica are a Champions League ready side. They're a good quality outfit. And they're proving, and they're doing a fantastic job proving that they can still play good football without Darwin Núñez. And the fact that to me, it's the fact that PSG are going from, they're playing respectable teams in a Champions League group, but then it's like, oh, who we got this weekend? Oh, we got Troyes, the CFG group, the CFG team that plays in the French league. You know what I mean? It's just like, in a way, it's almost like, it's like when they play these lower league or these lower league teams from France and that, and then they go straight into the Champions League. It's like weaning a baby off breast milk and straight onto port. You know what I mean? It's just, it's. I wouldn't say it's too much for them to handle, but it's just once they suddenly come across a team that actually is dominant in midfield or is absolutely burning on the wings or something like that, it's just like, whoa, this is too much for me to handle. Yeah. You know, they're a tricky team. They're a confusing team to analyze, and of course, they sort of answer their own questions by, as you said, Ozzy, they just self-implode when things don't go their way. Ego FC.
Carl has joined us. Good evening, mate. How are you?
Good evening. Glad to see you guys. Ozzy, I've always been an admirer. I just love your opinions on the show, man. I really enjoy listening to you.
Here we go.
Patrick, good to see you. And don't worry about Martin. I know Martin.
No, I want to do it now because Ozzy had all his love last night.
And then Beta, of course, I know him well. But
it's like the Knights of the Commonwealth Round Table.
Good to see you guys.
I had Carl calling me a granddad half an hour ago. Imagine how bloody felt with that one. Like dinosaur, granddad. Should I just?
No, it's a term of German, Martin. You know about
Carl, RB Leipzig. You'll know this. Haaland's record against Leipzig.
Oh, he's amazing against Leipzig. He loves them. If you remember that clip, it's on YouTube, where Haaland gets the ball. Upamecano, who's at Leipzig at the time, tries to get the ball off him. He literally just shoves him apart on the floor and scores a goal. There's another clip where he gets a ball from, I think it was Giovanni Reina, gets a ball, dribbles through Leipzig and scores a goal. Because Leipzig like to play open, they leave space, and Haaland loves that space to exploit it. And with his pace, they can't keep up with him. He loves it. This is a good draw for us. They will score goals, but we will score goals.
Werner. I
thought isn't he hurt? No, he's hurt.
Got ankle ligament damage.
Yeah,
4 days ago he got injured, or 4 or 5 days ago he got injured playing for Leipzig, and he's got ankle ligament damage, and he's going to miss the World Cup. So
even if he wasn't injured, Martin, I still think we have enough quality over 2 legs to get through this round. I just feel we have enough quality, especially now that we have Erling Braut Haaland as part of the team. No longer no false nine. Now Leipzig have to think about something because they create space. Haaland's going to eat in that whole space behind. No false nine, no kind of passing and move. This is transition at its best, and this is the game, man. I'm excited about this lineup.
Muddy Duck's back. Good evening, mate. Hope you are well, and it's lovely to have you back, Muddy Duck. Lovely to have you back, mate. I'll go around the table with this one. Obviously, this game is not going to be played until, and I will get you the exact dates. It's not going to be played until February. I've got the 22nd in my head for some weird reason.
Yeah.
February 22nd on the Wednesday. That will be the away tie in Germany. We then don't play until March the 14th. Now, in that time, as I've read and Carl told me earlier, we've got Bournemouth, Forest, and Crystal Palace away, all in that time. Now, that could change with FA Cup and Carabao Cup ties and everything else that's in between. Now, what I did have a look at, I think a majority of teams who are in Europe, once this World Cup's over and we hit January, you are literally every 3 days, bang, 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 bang for 5 months.
Yeah.
And I'm talking 5 months of just go, go, go.
Yeah.
Does anyone think that's a good thing so Pep can't do Pep? Because we're playing every 3 days. Pep can't sit there and go, oh, well, like, because I'll tell you, I looked at the final when the final was. I'm not saying we'll get there.
The Champions League final.
If we get to the final. The final was like 2 weeks after the season ends. That's when I get worried. When Pep's got 2 weeks to sit on it and think. No, it's true though, isn't it? Though when he's got,
Martin, can I just interject on that? I think the reason being, and I agree with you. I think the 2 weeks before the final against Chelsea hurt us, but I think what hurt us more that season was wrapping the league up 2 or 3 weeks before before the league had even finished. So you're talking about really 5 weeks of not necessarily in top gear, almost a dead rubber sort of mentality. And then getting ready for the Champions League final. Now, I personally believe if that league season, we won it on the final day the same we did last season against Villa, I think that we would have been able to use that momentum a lot better if we were going into a Champions League final if the league had been in the same, had been like down to the wire last game of the season. I think we would have been able to use that momentum if we were in the Champions League final a lot to our advantage a lot more than what we did in 2020, 2021. In the last lockdown season.
That's fair. Fair point.
Yeah.
Is everyone really happy every 3 days? Pep don't have to think. We just
there's no better manager in the world for playing every 3 days.
I think the other good thing as well is that Pep is going to rotate, and he does that probably better than any other manager in the league. To be honest, he's very good at rotating the squad, and the squad are used to it, and they accept it. There's going to be some clubs where they're not going to be happy if they have to be rotated. Do you know what I mean? So that, again, is a little bit of an advantage to us.
So, yeah, and another thing to point out, because I experienced this, Carl, what was it, 2 seasons ago? I think it was, 2 seasons ago, maybe 3, but they had the whole bubble with regards to the NBA. And the games were that frequent. They were playing almost every 3 nights. And from a player standpoint, it's easy for Pep now because the players themselves need the rest. Like, they can't be playing that frequent. So when Pep's saying you're resting today, I'm playing so and so, you have to accept it. It's not like it's not like a wider gap where players can kind of be irked about being put in rotation. So I think that makes life a lot easier for Pep. For us who love football, for those of us that are kind of making content, the frequency is going to be amazing because there's always going to be something new to talk about, always something to kind of like analyze. So that's an amazing part. And Pep won't have time to overthink it. To your point, when we look at the finals, maybe we can speculate on that. But these run of games, it's just getting the most out of these players, and I'm excited. I'm excited for it because all that he can do is have them ready to go.
And this is kind of where I think that Ozzy and Patrick, where the quality and the squad depth helps you overcome these every 3-day challenges, because you know that if you replace a player with another player, like Alvarez, for example, right? He's not Haaland quality. We know he's not Haaland quality. But we've seen over the past 2 days that given the chance and you feed him, he gets goals. Okay? Palmer can come in. Foden is there. If Foden doesn't play, Jack Grealish is there.
Calvin Phillips.
When
he gets fit.
Correct.
Calvin Phillips could be crucial in the run-in for the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You think about Arsenal, right? If Jesus gets injured, doesn't play, is Eddie Nketiah going to trouble Diaz or Laporte or Stones? I don't think so. If Partey gets injured or has to rotate, who's going to play for them? The kid, what's his name, Lokonga versus Rodri?
Yeah.
Or
no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got Europa League, haven't they? So
and they got Europa League.
The scary thing is with Arsenal, I know we've come off topic a little bit, but they're going to be going Thursday, Sunday. So they're always going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to We're going to be in the exact opposite to what we were with Liverpool. If everyone remembers, Liverpool always went first, and we had to then back them up on the Sunday or later on the Sunday. That's now going to be role reversal. It's going to be us putting the pressure onto Arsenal, and Arsenal have to sort of combat us then, which will probably be a nice thing to probably experience for a change. I'm just going to bring Adam in a minute, but can I just quick question to you all? My only concerns with Leipzig, it's been mentioned in the comments. Now, obviously, Nkunku might not be there in January, come February. Let's presume he is. Might not be, though. Fullback.
Sorry, because he's going to be sold.
Chelsea bound.
I've got people will bid for him in January.
Gotcha.
Well, there's already a rumor that Chelsea have already pretty much got that deal done, and that he possibly could be going to them in January. So
I feel sorry for him, man, because strikers go
Yeah,
to die
because they
there.
had a 60 million euro release clause on him, but I think it only comes into effect next summer. But I believe the
that's what
agreement
I'm
was
not sure if
something
it's
like,
next
if you pay an
summer,
extra 20 million euro, Chelsea pay an extra 20 million euro, you can have him in January. So that's the word from what I've heard.
And Chelsea probably will do that because at the moment they are struggling up front right now. You know, Aubameyang isn't doing the job for them. Sterling isn't really cracking the goals like he did for us. So you know, I think they probably will spend that extra money and get him in January if they can.
I think they might have to, like you say. But coming back to my question, my only concern with the Leipzig game, and this is my only concern, is fullbacks against their pace.
Well, hopefully, Martin, Walker could be back by then.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not sure if his current fitness, whether he'll be going to the World Cup. I think if Gareth can get him on the plane, and even if he'll, you know, play at some stage later on the World Cup, if England get that far, that could be a worry for us, you know, as in like could potentially, you know, more long-term damage if he was to pull something or whatever. So we'll have to see when it comes to Walker. But I mean, I'm hoping by that point he will be back, he will be fully fit, and ready to kind of help us in the Champions League, because I would feel a lot better. In all honesty, if Walker's back in that starting lineup, because as much as I think the other guys have been good, when it comes to the Champions League, I think that is where Walker will shine for us. I really do.
Just a bit upon Ozzy's point, Martin. Did you know that in every game that Walker played against Madrid, they didn't get the advantage against us until Walker left the field? Even at home at the Etihad, right? Sure. Vinicius couldn't break through until Walker was off the field, and Fernandinho got skinned to get the goal. Away at the Bellingham, same thing happened. When Walker was on the field, they couldn't get the advantage. That when Walker played Mbappe couldn't smell the City goal. Couldn't get past it. Tried once or twice and just gave up. That's what Walker brings to Aussie. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Good evening, Adam. Hope you're well, mate.
Good evening and hi to everybody.
Adam, what's your thoughts on the RB Leipzig lovely tie we've got? Are you happy?
I'm happy. I'm happy. To be honest with you, I was one of the people that I said I wouldn't mind getting, say, AC Milan on Inter Milan, even though some people may think that's a tough draw. I actually think we're capable of, say, beating them. But I think it was Martin, Vita, and I think it was Patrick who said he would rather get RB Leipzig and I think it was Benfica and Porto. But I'm still happy with the draw.
Yeah. I mean, Ozzy makes an absolute fantastic point about Walker. And you know what? Having Walker and Calvin Phillips back. Calvin Phillips, like I think you mentioned, Pat, he's going to be like a brand new signing in January. We've just popped out the door. Yep. It's like brand new signing that just appears. You're going to have Walker. You've got time to sort of. And listen, we don't know what we're going to do in January yet. We might just nip out and find an absolute superstar from the middle of somewhere. Because I still think that the tentatively looking at left backs, don't think that's sort of finished yet.
Yeah.
I think they're probably.
I was just about to say that. I think
that possibility could arise somewhere. You know, Zinchenko might get homesick and want to come home. No, I'm wishing there. I know I am. The thing is here, it's such a long way. It's like, I mean, what is it? November? You're talking 4 months, 3-4 months. A lot can change in that time. It's like someone's put, this World Cup's about to happen. We might end up with 5 injuries and be like, what are we doing?
And that's the worry, isn't it, with having this World Cup in the middle of the season? Do you know what I mean? This is the scariest thing that I think most of us are worried about when it comes to this World Cup is the injuries that are going to possibly come with them. I mean, luckily there's a few of our players who aren't going, especially like Haaland. He'll be having time off, so I'm kind of glad that he's not going to the World Cup.
Well, Martin, I said on the last episode of our Early Bird podcast. What was it? If we beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup this week, the next round is played on the 20th, 21st of December before the league returns, right? What if Belgium and Portugal are playing in the World Cup final? That's half our first squad. out for the cup matches. And what if
You have to
we
do
get
it,
drawn
don't
against
you?
Liverpool at Anfield?
You come on for the first time in ages and you just throw things like that around, like, you know, just start.
Put that grenade.
upsetting me.
Well, you're obviously not listening to the podcast, mate. So yeah, judging by that
No,
reaction.
I'm listening. Hey, I listen to the podcast because I'm never invited on it anymore. No, I'm only joking. Listen, you make a great point, and you know, this is why, you know what? I want everybody out early in the World Cup. I want England out the group. I want Belgium gone. I want everybody literally gone home early.
Well, Martin, that means you're happy to support Australia, mate. So I appreciate all the support. Yeah.
Listen, mate, I will sit in an Australian jersey with my Australian scarf. I will get behind you as an honorary Aussie.
So you're going to borrow a Norwich scarf from your rag, mate?
I'll go and borrow a red and gold from the rags. I'm not I do not want any of our boys anywhere near a cup final. Forget it. Argentina, they're going out first round. Brazil, see you, they're going home early. This is the thing. Someone said the other day, it's about 90% of our squad, bar Haaland, who's going. And you're like, I wish you weren't. I wish you weren't.
It's a lot.
Martin, I don't want to jinx it, but you know, the one player that I think, without a shadow of a doubt, is probably going to end up getting injured is Kevin De Bruyne, because Gundogan will tell you Martinez is an absolute retard.
He's the worst man. He's the worst man and manager of all the international managers.
But Patrick, isn't it now incumbent upon De Bruyne to recognize when he's at the limit, right, and to make sure that Martinez knows that, look, I'm at the limit. You know,
the problem is that this is his last World Cup. Let's be honest, for him, more than likely.
Yeah. But
Do you know what I mean? So he's going to want to do everything he can for his country.
Yeah,
that is my only worry for De Bruyne. That, you know, this is his last World Cup. He's going to put everything he can into it. I mean, this is probably Belgium's last chance, really, with that squad they've got. Do you know what I mean?
Might be Martinez's last chance.
With that squad's their last hurrah.
Yeah,
this might be Martinez's last.
But I've said it before with Roberto Martinez. It's just he's a terrible man manager. If you remember his Everton days, he played John Stones every single week in, week out, throwing the cup matches as well too. What happened when we signed him for that first season? On and off with injury. Yeah. And then it caught up with him the following season, the Centurion season, when he had that hammy pull away at Leicester. Look at the one that still pisses me off when we talk about it was, you remember the one when we just got Vincent Kompany back from all those calf muscle issues, those leg issues that he had. What did he do? Started him against Gibraltar, came off it, started him against Gibraltar. Then he came off about the 85th minute with a leg injury, recurring leg injury. They were 8-0 up against Gibraltar.
Listen, we've
just got two
play.
examples there. I could probably name a couple of others as well too, but we're not going to go on.
As I said on your pod,
but he's just a terrible man manager, and it scares me.
Yeah,
that it could come back with De Bruyne being injured.
As I said on your pod, mate, I'm just praying to God that we get a load of injuries that suddenly crop up in the next week.
Yep.
You know, we go 5-0 up on Saturday afternoon, and then everyone starts disappearing on the legs and going, oh, stretchers, and they're all off and going bye-bye. You know what I mean? I don't mind that. I'll take that Saturday afternoon. Right. I do want to get a little brief thing on the rest of the ties, because there are some
crackers,
pretty decent ones in there.
Can I ask a question real quick, Martin?
No, you can't.
When you guys all saw the fixtures, was there any hint, any itch or scratch that they looked fixed to you?
To be honest, I feel it's the first draw where it's just kind of gone. They've decided this is the last time this competition is going to go in this structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they may have just gone like, forget it. Whoever gets whoever, and whatever. And that's why I feel like a certain team that we're going to mention in a minute against Real Madrid. Wow. You know, it was the pick of the bunch.
Has anyone noticed when we do have round of 16 or quarter-final draws, we always seem to get picked in the first two? It happens a lot.
Yeah.
We're always
posting who we draw against while the draw is still going on. We always seem to. We always seem to get picked in the first two. Always happens. I don't know. Yeah. Take that with a pinch of salt, whatever you want to do. But it just seems to happen every single year.
I'm gonna take that.
Anyone see us not winning this tie or getting through?
And
Come on.
any
Who got the
blue?
balls to say no?
I'm sure many rivals are saying we're not getting
It would
through.
be a massive disappointment, put it that way.
Yeah.
It would be
Only
a
because-
massive shocker.
Only because we have Erling Haaland. And if Erling is fit and he plays, it would be disappointing if we don't get through.
Yeah,
To be
is
honest,
a
even
cheap
with-
man,
He terrifies German opposition. He absolutely terrifies them.
I think even more
They
so
know
now.
him. They know him much more than we do. They've lived it for 3 years? Every game, they know him. They prepare for him.
Oh, you know why I say I'm confident that we'll go to the next round? We don't have players, when they're given the biggest chance in front of goal. Sorry for my French, but they don't, they say F it up or fuck it up in front of goal, in a sense.
I'll tell you a
No.
story, Martin. Let me tell you a story
Yeah.
of what happened to me at Lyon. So I'm watching the Lyon game. Guys, Patrick and Ozzy. And I have these 2 weights that I use. So I'm trying to get fit, right? So I'm lifting weights, right? 20 pounds each. Okay. Watching the game, ball goes to Raheem Sterling, right? And I do this because he missed. And my whole bicep tendon gets torn. I'm in rehab for 6 weeks because I can't stretch my back, my hand behind my back. For a couple of weeks, I couldn't do it, in pain because of Raheem Sterling and Lyon. That's how bad. So when people talk about Raheem Sterling, I have the scars to show what he did to me. Missing
Mate,
one-on-one.
if it makes you feel any better, when Gundogan scored the 3rd goal against Aston Villa, I was 8 hours away from going in for surgery for a broken leg. No, I didn't break it celebrating. I'm just saying I was in a moon boot with potential blood clots in my leg, and I'm still sitting there just watching Gundogan score, and I was about to jump out of my bed and say, "Oh, better not do that."
Well, if
It
it
was
makes anyone
It was a
feel
much more
better,
subdued celebration
at the Villa
immediately after
game,
that.
when Gundogan did score, I split my leg wide open going over the seat. So listen, we've all got scars and injuries. Hey, I did it on Saturday as well. Fell
Right?
over it.
Yeah, you didn't learn.
Yeah,
your
you
lesson.
told me. Yeah.
No, I didn't look. Do you know what? I'm starting to blame the people who sit in front of me. It's their fault. They keep moving them.
Here we go.
I wish they wouldn't. Yeah, I did. Raheem does have blood on his hands. Carl will be sending his solicitors down to him soon. Compensation. Right. So the other ties that have come up, I will just quickly whisk through these, and then if anyone wants to jump in with any anything that they want to talk about with this, by all means they can do. But Club Brugge are going to face Benfica. Liverpool are going to face Real Madrid. AC Milan have got Tottenham. That's one that I'm looking forward to seeing, actually. Frankfurt have got Napoli. Decent side for Napoli. Chelsea travel to the yellow wall of Dortmund. Inter Milan are at home to Porto. And then the second big one is PSG versus Bayern Munich. So we do know one thing out of this last 16. One of 4 giants, or two of four giants are going bye-bye out of this competition. Guaranteed. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really quite interesting when you think about it. 2 of the potential big heads that possibly could win the competition are going.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, personally, I think that's good for us, because there is only one team that I particularly fear, if I'm brutally honest, and that's Liverpool. Because they are a bit of our bogey team. They are, on their day, one of the teams that can cause us the most problems. And for me, I think if we can avoid them up until the final, I think we could be getting ourselves to the final.
And they're at a position in the league too where they could easily be putting all their eggs in the Champions League basket too.
This is what I was saying earlier to Vader and Carl. Liverpool scare me because of that situation.
Yeah.
Scare me.
Yeah.
Well, because they've got no choice but to either win the competition or
not be in it.
Or not be in it, or absolutely just go gung for leather in the league because to get into a top 4 position. Because if they don't, they can pretty much kiss their summer transfer list goodbye.
Absolutely.
Because they're not going to get
taken over by oil money. Oz, they're all right. They're getting taken over by oil money. I mean, they're not, because Liverpool fans can't read a statement properly, but apparently they're being taken over. If they could like read the statement, but no man, that's another subject.
Yeah, they're getting taken over by Elon Musk, so they'll all be driving Teslas in 6 months.
Yeah, Martin. The only thing is that if there's any club that's more special in the Champions League than Liverpool, it's Real Madrid. It is Real Madrid, and the second leg of the Bernabeu. Think about Chouameni, talk about Valverde, Rodrigo versus Henderson, Thiago, and Fabinho. I just can't see Real Madrid not getting through.
I think it used to be AC Milan back in their glory days.
Yeah.
But for me, Real Madrid, yes, they're a very good team. Yes, they're very good in. They're excellent in this competition. But personally, I think from what I saw when we played them last season, they're still a team that we should be able to beat, especially now that we've got Haaland in our squad.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That is a great point, and it's real. You go back to those 2 Real Madrid games. I know people go, yeah, it was the magic of Madrid. They didn't give up, but it was our own silliness that allowed them not to give up. Because in all intents and purposes, we should have been 4 up at the Etihad and go home and see you later. We should have scored 2 or 3 goals at the Bernabeu before they even got rolling. We should have had that guy gone and out of sight. Courtois pulled off 3 amazing saves. Grealish is hitting the post. Mahrez can't score with a barn door for some weird reason at the Etihad. And so you sat there and you're going, oh, Liverpool scare me because we just don't. They are our bloody kryptonite, especially at Anfield. It scares the living bats out of me at Anfield under the lights. And that's one thing that bothers me. I do think Liverpool could squeak over Madrid. Is Anfield on Champions League nights. Because it's the only time they make noise. You don't make noise in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Champions League become alive.
I think the big factor is the fact that the second leg for Madrid will be played at the Bernabeu.
Exactly.
So even if they don't get things right, but they still manage to go away with a score draw or even just like a 2-1 loss, they can take that back to Bernabeu, and that is enough for them to still be able to get an effective result.
Bernabeu that we're paying for, may I add. Just to remind all Real Madrid fans, you're welcome.
That's right, yeah.
Enjoy your new stadium because of us. Well done. Well done. Anyway, go on.
I think the crazy thing with this tie too is Liverpool in the form that they're in. I don't see them really. They're not going to do what we did in terms of having those opportunities to almost score on every attack. I don't think they're going to be able to do something similar to that. And then the second leg at home for Real, I think that's where they would really shine. But where I disagreed with you earlier, Martin, is it's not so much the magic of Anfield or the magic of Liverpool, but it is the fact that they would be so desperate. They'd be like a caged animal, a cornered animal, and all that they have would be to advance far in the Champions League. They could say, screw the league. They could say, screw the other cups. All we're doing is focusing on this Champions League and have Klopp's best 11 or whatever he sees fit and just committing to it. And that's where they would be dangerous. I agree with you on that.
Cal, do you think it comes down to where Liverpool could be come February?
I think so. If they're in the mix for the top 4.
10.
Yeah, I think if they're 9th or 10th, they're going for the Champions League. They're clearly 100% because they're out of the Premier League or out of the top 4 race. If they're 4th, 5th with 3 points below top 4, and we have to look at the games around that game because we have Norwich, Burnley, Bournemouth, and then we have Leipzig. They could have other games that are significant around that time. They have to make a decision. Because Madrid are no pushovers, man. They won't want to go out to Liverpool in this round of 16. They just won't. Personally, I can't see Liverpool getting through. Not with Vinicius versus Trent.
I could just see Vinicius just absolutely rinsing not just Trent but their entire defense.
Seriously,
I mean, he found a hole to score the goal that mattered in the final. So now you're asking him to find holes in a block of Swiss cheese. So
I just can't see it. I mean,
Look
what Napoli did to them.
Is a question for everyone again. Like, I mean, I've said that Liverpool, and I think we're pretty much agreeing. All of us are saying that Liverpool are probably the boat, and we don't want to face. Is there anybody else realistically who possibly could cause issues.
I'm
Because we still have to respect that there are some decent teams on their day.
Yeah.
Ozzy, there is one I want to say, and it's more over the perspective over the remainder of the season. There is a possibility that we could be playing Spurs 4 times in the space of like a month or 2.
Jesus, yeah.
Given obviously with the Queen's passing and the Spurs fixture having to be rescheduled, there is every possibility that we could be playing Spurs 4 times in less than 2 months even.
Yeah.
Later in the year, you're talking.
Yes, later this season.
Yeah.
But with a new manager.
I forgot all about that. They got that Tottenham and Arsenal game to squeeze in, haven't they? They've got like these games together.
We could possibly be playing Arsenal in the league in a similar format to if it was a Champions League knockout stage.
And Patrick, this is why I think that what we have to do between now and the World Cup, which is 1 game, we have to win that game against Brentford. And then we come back, we have to win the next game.
And win it early. Win it
so that
the
gap between us and the rest of the chasing pack is probably 6 to 8 points. And then it's Arsenal 2 points or 1 point ahead, and we have a double header. Because that's a game that will turn everything. If we're 6 points ahead of Tottenham, even if we're playing them 4 times in a month, we can afford to lose 1 if we beat Arsenal because Arsenal are close to us. And then we have that advantage.
Let's not forget, we could get him in the bloody FA Cup, so you can make that 5 times.
Oh, Jesus.
What about the Carabao? They might still be in that.
Exactly.
We might end up with them at the final. Anyway, just call it the Spurs League. Do you know who worry me? Teams nobody's mentioned so far.
Napoli.
Let me have a guess. Napoli.
Naples.
Yeah.
I know we won there before, but this is a different beast at the minute in Napoli.
It is.
Yeah.
They're a very well-structured side.
They know exactly what they're doing. There is no mistake or randomness. They know exactly.
I fancy them as a squeaky dark horse in this, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a winner.
I think the big thing, if we play them in any stage of the knockouts, if we were to play them in the final, I'd back ourselves a lot more playing them once.
Yeah.
But I think if we play them over 2 legs, I think playing them away first would be way more important than us playing at home first.
Yeah.
I really do. I think if we played them away in the second leg, it'd be very, very dangerous, especially if they were able to, scrounge out like a score draw or something like that. Because at home they've got the talent, the quality to put 3 past you in the first 15 minutes, and they did that in the first group match day against Liverpool. Absolutely rinsed them in the first half.
Oh, they took them apart. It was a clinic. It was a clinic. I'm always worried about the draw of the quarterfinals, semifinals, who comes first, who comes second, because away and the home legs, it's such a key factor. Being able to come back home, play the second leg is so important for teams.
Yeah.
I think the stats will tell you that teams that have the second leg at home normally, I think, have the edge against teams that have the second leg away.
Is there a question for the chat then, and for you guys as well too? Has getting home field or away first, has that replaced the abolition of the away goals rule? Where that has now become the same importance as what away goals used to be.
I don't think it can. I think getting rid of the away goals rule sort of slightly takes away this. You've got a slight advantage with being home for a second. I get that, but I think the away goals going kind of takes that away anyway. It just becomes 2 games of football now when you go at it.
Yeah, Mark, but I mean, like, has away goals now been taken away? Has, whether we get away first or home first, whichever you think is more favourable, has that, in essence, created the same sort of mentality of where, like, it's in the back of your mind where it's like, oh, this away goals is a factor now. But now it's like, I'd rather play the first 90 minutes at home rather than away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think now that
it's a similar mentality, just under a different concept of the format of
my take.
Back anymore.
My take is but my take is, I think in the same vein where, correct me if I'm wrong, many would have preferred to play away, even with the away goals. We would prefer to play away first, to know
Yeah.
what's at stake and then come home and deal with the matter. Now away goals are no longer part of the equation, but to be able to now come home and you know what you have to deal with and you have the comfort of home and all of that. I think home field is still so important. And we'll see how we have to navigate when the next draw gets selected. But
Yeah.
I'm just praying for a kind draw in terms of the path to the final, right? A really kind draw. Like next round, it's whoever wins between between Club Brugge and who else is the Club Brugge versus Benfica.
Mm-hmm.
And the path also is between whoever finishes between, let's say it's another club who's not as strong as somebody else.
Oh.
I'm looking for that path, right? That path,
right.
like Liverpool had last year. They had Villarreal, they had Benfica to get to the final.
Yeah,
right? Lucky. We had.
Yeah, there's gonna be the death side or the difficult side and the weaker side. We'll have to see how that all gets drawn out. But again, most recently with last season, the fact that Bayern went out to Villarreal, like who knows who knows how things are going to play out.
And they're a team we actually haven't mentioned as well. I mean, they are one of the big boys in this competition, and Bayern, could we see them being an issue further down the line for us? Because we haven't really talked about them at all. So, guys, can you answer that question? Do we see them as a possible threat going down the line?
I think so, Ozzy. I think so.
They're a more rounded team than they were last season.
Correct.
They got
They are missing
that Musiala looks fantastic. He looks such a good young player for them. And he's just really come on leaps and bounds than what he did last season. He started off last season very out of the blocks very quick, but then I think he picked up a couple of injuries and they really slowed down his season. But again, he started this season very strongly. There's a lot of people like Bayern players and a lot of people at Bayern Universe that say, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's competing for Ballon d'Ors in the next 5 years or so. Like they really rate him highly. They regard him highly. They're hurting a little bit without Alphonso Davies at the moment too. So it'd be interesting to see if they can get him in. Canada can get him in time for the World Cup.
Is he injured?
Mate, are you concerned about his injury at the moment?
I actually rate Musiala more than Bellingham. I know Martin and I've had this debate for a long time and still ongoing. I actually rate Musiala more than Bellingham. I think he's a better.
I can see Musiala being like a Josh Kimmich. It'd be like they'd only let him go if we forked out 9 figures, over 100 million for him.
They never let him go.
But to answer your question, obviously, Bayern
he's a lifer at Bayern.
Yeah,
Bayern could be a problem. It could be a problem for us in the future.
Plus, Jude Bellingham will look really cool in light blue next year. Trust me.
He's
going to play with his best friend.
Martin, I'll make you a bet, okay? I will keep an open mind. When Dortmund played Chelsea, I'm gonna watch Bellingham and I'll make up my mind.
Okay, then, Carl. Let me just say this to you. Bellingham signs. Haaland signs a new contract and gets rid of the release clause.
I'll take that every day.
Because his best mate's about to join him.
Yeah.
Think of the positives, Carl. Come on now.
Is anybody concerned that with Borussia Dortmund playing Chelsea that they might put Bellingham in the shop window though?
He's already in the shop window, Patrick. He really is. I mean,
the shop window for them.
They're already circling for it. The big clubs that are after him are Real Madrid, Liverpool, us, Chelsea. Okay, those are the teams that are going to try and get him next summer. And for me, Liverpool are pretty much ruled out because they're not going to spend that kind of money. Chelsea are probably going to have to concentrate on other areas like a striker. Real Madrid have already pretty much got a decent midfield. So where does he fit into their team? And we're likely going to be seeing the either departure or both departures of Gundo and Bernardo. Do you know what I mean? So he fits into our midfield really nicely.
For me, I think Real Madrid are possibly going to end up prioritizing a striker than say, because Benzema's not getting any younger. That's the problem. So in a sense, they have to prioritize Benzema's successor than say the midfield. Because for me, that's more important than the midfield because they've got Tchouaméni, they've got that. I forgot the other kid's name. Kamavinga, and then
and that's not even including the talent they've still got in their squad. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think it's hopefully nailed on. So
look, Blue Art understood the statement from FSG today. That's shocking, isn't it? Our City fans understood what that statement was.
Well,
See,
my
that's not the
thing is-
shocking part.
Martin,
Blues,
listen,
Blues understand.
I was on the
Blues
space
understand.
with Adam
Exactly.
earlier on today. I was on the space with Adam earlier on today with Liverpool fans, and I explained to them that this was normal business. It's a share capital raise. They're selling shares based on the valuation, using Chelsea's valuation to offer shares so they can make money. They're not selling the club to Qataris or the.
But isn't it funny how within 5 minutes they were all, we're selling the club and getting oil? Like, you two
No, but
face
you know what it was as well, Martin?
See-
There was previous reports of where FSG wanted to go, say, public on the New York Stock Exchange, but the shareholders didn't allow them. So in a sense, so I think it's somewhat, in a sense, they're somewhat trying to push for that.
Yeah, I remember when I woke up this morning, there was an alert on my live score app about, FSG wanting to sell Liverpool. And I went and clicked on it. The person they had on the video asking the interview was Miguel Delaney. And I was just like, wait a sec. Before he said a single syllable, I pulled out my bingo card. And I probably ticked off about 90% of the boxes. And it was just like a 45-second video. It's just like, you don't surprise me. You don't surprise me any day of the week, Miguel Delaney.
Try to jump in, gentlemen. Vader has to shoot, so I want to give Vader the opportunity to push. I do want to have 5-10 minutes on Chelsea. If anyone wants to stay, by all means, stay. If you don't, Alec, just before Vader goes, at some point during the World Cup break, I'm going to have some news on that, unless it doesn't break beforehand. Carl already knows what that story is. I will announce it. Well, not me, but I know for a fact is happening at Manchester City with that stadium expansion. But anyway,
See, this is why you need to hit that sub button. Follow Gunnalorian, follow Mancunian Way, Patrick, Ozzy, Adam, because you get the scoop. You get the scoop. Before I shoot off, I want to say thank you for having me on. Love the panel. Always love the conversation. My name's Vader. My show is Vader Games TV. My channel is Vader Games TV. My show is Why Always Me. So please tune in. I'm going to be talking about the rebranding of many of these clubs. Chelsea trying not to be slutty and settle down with one manager. Liverpool trying to be an oil club, as well as some other topics this week. So please tune in, subscribe, and support your boy. Thanks for having me on, Martin.
anytime, mate. Me and Oz and Rich. Love having you on, mate. Thank you.
Yeah,
Cheers, mate.
definitely. See you later, mate.
In a bit, mate.
Right. Very, very quickly, we'll just do 5 minutes. People will shoot, they'll shoot. Let me know. Chelsea Wednesday night.
It's going to be interesting, really, because is Pep going to put out the strongest team? I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning of the season that I just feel this is possibly one of the competitions that he may look at just not taking massively seriously. I do feel that City are really going to concentrate on the league and the Champions League this season, because I think they've probably looked at the draw and gone, two of the big boys, like I said, we were saying earlier, of Real Madrid, Liverpool, PSG or Bayern Munich are going out. No one else really should be scaring us that much. Do you know what I mean? Arsenal, as much as they're my dark horses of the season, and I picked them to be in the top four, they're at the moment RB's challenger. And I feel that after the World Cup, during that January-February period, they've not got the squad depth to really have the consistency of going 3 games, playing it all the time, plus, the Europa League, if they're still going in that. I just feel they're not going to be able to continue. So for us, I think that for me, like I said at the beginning of the season, for me, it's the Champions League and the Premier League is where I think Pep will fully put his eggs into those 2 baskets.
Yeah, Ozzy, I feel like with Arsenal, given the form that they've had since the start of this season, it'd be very, very difficult for them to continue that season, continue that form into the remainder of the league season post-Qatar. But do you feel like with that sort of form that they could reflect that into a cup run of some sorts? Because I feel like they could easily do that in an FA Cup, a Carabao, or even the Europa. I feel that they could take that momentum, that sort of form, into a specific knockout tournament and definitely compete for a trophy. I just think that their depth is a little bit short for challenging for the league, and they could easily do that in 2 or 3 seasons' time. But I could certainly see them doing something similar to what to what they did when they won the FA Cup with Arteta about 2 or 3 years ago. Just getting streaky in one of the competitions and going really far in it.
Yeah. For Arsenal, their priority is to be in the top 4. Do you know what I mean? That is their biggest priority. They know that if they were to win the league, fantastic for them. You know what I mean? It'd be cloud 9, big success. But I think realistically, Arteta is more thinking we need to remain in the top 4. If we can get a cup run, fantastic. But for me, that is what's going to happen.
I would agree with that. I concur. I think the question about the Carabao Cup tomorrow is: does Pep? And all managers are almost psychopaths, right? Where they just want to win, right? And this becomes a challenge for him to beat Chelsea, take him out of the competition, and see how the competition opens up. Maybe we get a derby count in the next round or something. It's a tough one. I want to win this game, to be fair, tomorrow, Wednesday. Just because I want to see how Chelsea react and how they react to going to Newcastle the game after having lost to Arsenal and City and what they do against Newcastle.
I can see pretty much full strength in this.
Because if they lose to Chelsea, to Arsenal, City, and Newcastle, Potters on a serious pressure. That's 4 games in a row.
Yeah, and that's why, Carl, I think Chelsea's team's lineup has changed because of what Chelsea's form are on right now. He will come on Wednesday night with the big boys, straight out the chute. Now,
can he afford to, Martin? Because on Sunday or Saturday,
can he afford another loss though?
Martin, do you think he would play Raheem Sterling as a wing back? Because if he does, technically that's just play. You're just playing.
Next question is Raheem Sterling getting booed on Wednesday night? That was going to be my next one. Is he getting booed or cheered on Wednesday night?
Martin, if I put it at the other opposite end of the scale with booing Raheem Sterling, does anybody here wish that we got drawn against Inter? Because it would have been a nice little homecoming for Edin Dzeko.
Yeah, he's never been back, and I'm gutted that he's never fully.
It'd be nice to have him back. It would be like if we played Benfica when we went away there. It'd be a nice homecoming for Cancelo, Diaz, Bernardo, and Edison.
You know what, Pat? We've never even had the David Silva and Aguero testimonial games yet.
Nope.
And I'm still waiting for them. And I'm like, I keep praying to get Sociedad in a friendly because I want to go back and see him and cheer him. And the same with Zeko. And there's too many great players of ours who were just nice human beings who didn't badmouth the club upon leaving. The difference is Sterling would have got a standing ovation on Wednesday night if it had just kept his mouth shut.
Patrick, I mean, to be fair, we could get Benfica in the quarters and then Inter in the semi-finals.
Yep, or in reverse, yeah.
Anyway, Wednesday night, I'm expecting a cracking game. There will be a post-match on that. It will be late, probably about 11:15 by the time I get back, set up and everything else. Carl, you're going. Carl, tell everyone where you are.
Ozzy, thank you, Patrick. Nice to meet you guys. Yeah,
you too.
Where can I'll get you, Carl?
Thanks, Martin. Talk later. Bye.
You can get Carl at Pitch Points. I'll do it for him. Go over to Pitch Points or Gundalorian on Twitter. You can get him over there. Go and subscribe to that channel as well. Listen, I'm expecting a very good game on Wednesday night. I think it's changed a bit. I think when Pep did what he did in the Champions League the other night in the dead rubber, when I saw us getting beat, and you could feel, and I started seeing Rodri, Bernardo, KDB, and I'm like, this guy just wants to win every single game. He doesn't care if it's dead rubber, friendly or whatever. He just wants to win. And it totally changed my view to Wednesday night. I was like, he's going to throw them out. He's going to bring them all out on Wednesday night and beat this lot. I think just what I think.
Yeah, I think you could be right, Martin. The only thing when I was saying about I feel that this isn't a competition that he's focusing on. I'm not saying that about Wednesday night because I think you're right. I think he will take it seriously. I just feel further down the line is when I think things may change. But yeah, I think to keep that consistency, keep that run up, and definitely you don't want Chelsea to get the bragging rights of winning over us on Wednesday.
No. Right. We're going to end it there. I'm going to let the lads just say goodbye in a minute. I might as well tell you now because it was on Facebook, so you probably know. There was a Co-op Live event last week, and it was announced there that there are plans to put a hotel that have already been approved at the back of the North Stand. The extension will happen, and there are plans agreed. Now, I'm not breaking any news. This went out on social media the other day on Facebook from someone who was at the meeting. And he got told at the meeting, everyone got told it was a Co-op Live event with people who to do with the Co-op, that they're going to build a hotel at the back of the North Stand. So big changes are happening at Manchester City, as we know as well. We haven't even touched on it yet, and we'll do it probably on Thursday night show about the record revenue that we've just smashed out of the box of 41 million, which to everyone else will seem like nothing. But that is huge for Manchester City.
We're now just behind Real Madrid.
Yeah.
We're second in that table.
653 million. Oh, it's 650. Yeah. It's round about that ballpark figure anyway. And it's just an amazing. You're going to have Co-op Live, 32 restaurants, 14 or 15 bars, open till 2 and 3. Apparently, there's already 2 UFC events booked in. It's going to open in December 2023. It's going to create more jobs, more everything, hotel at the back. And people say City's, got no soul. Well, yeah.
Life and soul the party.
Pardon?
Yep. Life and soul the party.
Yeah.
They say we haven't got a soul, but we've got a bloody presence, that's for sure.
Hey, we'll have a soul jam coming out the Co-op Live arena. Adam, big thank you for coming on. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you, mate, on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter Manchester Blue, but there's no E. Instead is 19 after the U.
And Adam does what they call Twitter Spaces. If you've never been there, he does amazing Twitter Spaces. Me and Adam have spent many a time in a space spouting facts and educating some fans on who call us Oil Club and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, really enjoyable. Top guy. Go and give him a follow. Pat, where can they find you and your gaggly geese, mate? Where can they find you all?
Find us on the Early Bert podcast. That's Early Bert, B-E-R-T. We're on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We normally have our podcast out at the end of the working week, so keep an eye out for that. That's a show that's co-hosted by myself, Danny Barrett, and Jeff Cern, my fellow Sydney Blues. Occasionally, we get Rich from this neck of the woods over for a chat from time to time. Our podcast is also affiliated to our official supporters club for Manchester City and Sydney. You can get us on Facebook there at MCFC Sydney or on Instagram at mcfc.sydneyblues. Any blue out there who wants to get involved with the pod and have a chat, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. We always appreciate any opinions, no matter how varied or how extreme they are in terms of football. But all blues are welcome.
And now and again, I'm on there as well. You forgot that.
Yeah. I'm still bitter about the numbers going up with
Early Birds, Spotify,
SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts.
StreamYard does. We've switched. SoundCloud, Spotify, Facebook. Honestly, and if you are in Sydney or watching Sydney, go to the Sydney supporters branch and go and meet Pat and the gang and Danny and Jeff. You don't really want to meet Rich. I mean, who's Rich? We haven't seen him in ages. Bloody hell. But are you Rich? No, I'm only joking. Rich will be back, I promise you. But yeah, they're top fellas. Go and give them a lot of support.
And Martin, I've had a change of plans too. I was meant to be going overseas somewhere at the end of this month, but I'll probably be coming over to Manchester for a bit. So I'll get in touch with you and hopefully can catch up for a pint and a chinwag.
Yeah, don't you worry. We won't tell Ozza. Can you leave Rich at home? Don't bring Rich here. So many exactly. We're taking over the world. taking over the world. Ada.
Yeah, 2022.
And
World
okay,
Cup
where can
champions.
we find you, mate? He's just not happy with me anymore. He's gone quiet on me. Look. You plug your Twitter. Do you want to plug the Instagram? We never plug it. Go on, give the Instagram a plug, Oz.
The Mancunian way. What more do you want, eh? What, Pat? This is that for dinosaur up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Brilliant.
Thank you, Stephen. But no, this lot, listen, you know, I'm not the biggest Champions League fan, but these 5 legends made it actually quite decent tonight. I hope Rich isn't coming back. Ooh.
Sweet.
Very nice.
Wow.
Wow.
Anyway, Pat, thanks for coming on, mate. Pleasure having you on, and please come back soon.
Please, appreciate it, Ozzy. Thanks, mate. Probably see you on the next one.
Adam, everyone in the comments, please give it a like on the way out. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe. Go and give Adam, Pat, Beta, and the early birds a lot of love as well. And we'll see you Wednesday night around about 11:15 for Chelsea post-match. Take care. And City, hopefully we'll be tearing Cockneys apart again on Wednesday night. See you later.
See ya.